been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
What's going on, guys? Tristan and Tony here, back with another episode of the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast. What's going on, Dad?
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! We're off the split. Let's go.
Yep. And we're having Mr. Chris Williamson back on the podcast, or Captain Chris Williamson, I guess I should say. And he, if you guys listened to last week's podcast, you know that we announced that Chris is sponsoring the podcast. And back, I guess it was this time last year, we had Chris on, and he's actually our most listened to episode of this podcast. So that's pretty neat. And Chris, thank you for taking the time to come back on the podcast, and thank you again for sponsoring us.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Tristan and Tony. Yeah, thank you for all you guys do.
Absolutely, man. So we're excited to just, talk how your duck season's going there down in the armpit of Florida, I guess some would say, and
armpit.
yeah, the panhandle down there, and just talk about that, and then get into outside of all the stuff you do with Williamson Outfitters, how personally your duck season's gone. I know you guys went to Dakotas and stuff like that, so we'll dig into all of that. But if for those of you that have not listened to the previous podcast, aren't familiar with Chris, can you give just a little bit of background, who you are, what you do, the operation you run there, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So again, my name's Captain Chris Williamson. I'm the owner, operator of Williamson Outfitters. We are located on the Forgotten Coast, like you said, the armpit of Florida, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we specialize in not only waterfowl, guided waterfowl hunts, but also gator hunts, fishing charter, scalloping, a wide variety of different charter services. And so, I think we talked about this in the last episode with the major influx of people coming into the state. Florida, is starting to build up, a little bit of a reputation as a pretty diverse, versatile state when it comes to, of course, not only the people moving here, but also the different types of games and opportunity that's available, throughout the state. So, yeah. So we're trying to, of course, try to capitalize on that. And so far it's been very successful. I mean, we started back in 2019, which is not very long ago. We started out with just myself, my son, Captain Bryce, and Captain Trent, so 3 guides. And now we've grown to, including myself, I think we have 7 waterfowl guides, and we have 5 fishing guides during the waterfowl season. So,
wow, man. That's a lot to manage at one time. I'm thinking about that. I'm like, shoot, that's got to be a lot, especially with ducks being ducks, and running 7 different guides. I'm sure it's just, it's one of those things. Ducks are going to be ducks, and it's a lot.
Yeah. So it's a tall task for sure, but it's a passion that we all have. We love it, we enjoy it, and we get to meet people from all over. In fact, of course, we're running 2 lodges now. We've got some guys that flew in from Boston that are here with us. We got some other folks that are staying at our other lodge that are from Minnesota. We even have people that come from Louisiana, believe it or not. So and I think the reason for that is it's just a unique style of hunting here in Florida, and so people that have, very experienced hunters that have been all over Arkansas, Louisiana, the Midwest. A lot of those folks have not hunted the Panhandle. So it's just a different experience and people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys really present, one of, the best opportunity I know of through, social media, all the stuff I try to keep up with hunting, it's a lot with social media, but like to get a trophy redhead or a trophy bluebill, you guys are like the spot for that.
Yeah. So that's our bread and butter, our diver ducks. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but yeah, anybody that's looking for a trophy redhead, bluebill, bufflehead, even, we've been shooting some canvasbacks. Even, hell, this morning, one of our guides, Captain Drew, or actually this afternoon, he shot a stud Drake Widgeon.
Oh, wow.
And so far, since the first split up until today, we've recorded 17 different species, including snow geese. So,
wow,
That's so nuts.
man, you guys always check mark that snow goose. It's been the last couple of years, haven't you guys popped one? That is
we're
just
on a roll, man. Yeah, the past 5 years, every year. Yeah.
Wow.
You've got he's got like a migration of 9 that come down there, and he's like, yeah, a couple of the public land guys maybe pick off one here and there, and then Chris, he pops off one, and it keeps the family going, but next year might be 2.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you got to set limits with the guides, but like only one a year because we got to keep this thing going for.
We got to grow
Right.
grow the snow goose population here in Florida.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Now it's always so wild to me when I see the stuff you guys post, like the random birds you guys killed that aren't obviously what you're targeting. I don't think anyway. Like, is a lot of these killed like when you guys are out redhead hunting or bluebill hunting? It just happens to be something crazy like that, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a lack of a better term, a bycatch. I mean, so we're not specifically targeting puddle ducks in particular. We're not trying to target pintail or widgeon, but right now we're getting steady cold fronts that are kind of moving through, and with those cold fronts, ahead of the cold fronts, that's when we get these unique birds that you would typically not see in our neck of the woods in Florida. I know during the first split, Trent he got a old squaw, or of course now a long-tailed duck, which of course that's also kind of unique over here.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I guess kind of piggybacking off that, how's your guys' season gone? Have you noticed any trends compared to previous years or things like that, or is it about the same, or can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so like last year, if you guys remember, we had some really strong cold fronts, especially right there around things like Christmas time or the New Year's, right around that time frame. And so one thing that compared to last year, to this point, it seemed like a lot of birds migrated a little bit earlier, and we think it's because we had some really cold early cold fronts. Compared to now, we're having cold fronts, but they're a little bit more mild, which to me is actually a good thing because, compared to last year we had a lot of birds move down all at once, kind of early, but then they got stale pretty quick because it seemed like they all got pushed down at once. They got a lot of pressure, of course, from public land, and then so once we got towards the middle to late part of January, we still had thousands of birds in the area, but they were just, far out, out in the middle of the bay, just wrapped it up. Because by then, of course, they've been educated and, of course, got stale. So now we're just seeing not huge migrations of birds. We're just getting enough fresh birds on a weekly basis, which is great. And that'll, help extend the season out. So, yeah, our second split is looking really good at this point. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and that's kind of consistent with what I've heard and seen just kind of across the board as far as birds moving early.
Right.
Just even like from people I've talked to, in more northern states like your Dakotas or Arkansas. I know a guy that guides up in South Dakota. Shout out to Grinder if you're listening to this, but he guides up there in South Dakota, and he said that they basically were only shooting mallards, and it was October 29th around that time, I think he said. So at that point, like all the pintails, all the shovelers, all of that had moved out, and that just seems like really early, and I guess that was different places I talked to. It seems like everyone was kind of getting that sentiment, It was weird. Besides those big ducks,
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we're getting reports that there's still quite a few. There are big numbers of redheads still locked up in Canada. Even our folks that are hunting with us from Minnesota, they were telling us like today the temperature back home in Minnesota was like in the 50s.
Wow.
I mean, it's almost like it's a little bit colder here than it is in Minnesota, which is wild, But again, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Like I said, it's just enough to kind of, keep the, duck season, fresh throughout the entire season, So.
Yeah. And divers, they're pretty correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they pretty hardy duck, and it takes, a lot of good, froze up area to get them to move?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean some migrate naturally on basically on a calendar.
Sure. Yeah.
But then there's a large population that migrate based on the weather, and so of course once their water starts freezing up and they start running out of food resources, then that's when they'll start moving down big numbers. But again, there hasn't been enough cold weather to basically push that huge population down yet. But again, we're getting pretty good waves coming in with these cold fronts we're getting. So of course we got another one that's about to move through. I think starting tomorrow as well. So,
well, that's what I like to hear, because we're actually going to be down in Florida ourselves, around Gainesville area, doing some puddle duck hunting. So hopefully that's good for that too.
yeah. Good luck on that. Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've been kind of we haven't talked about it too much, but we've basically had some personal things where we've had to consolidate our duck hunting time. So we're like, man, we didn't know if we were going to make it or not. We're like, sweet, so we're going to make it down there. So, but of course we had to cancel a couple other things. So we're like, well, that's just the way it goes.
Yep, that's right.
I got you.
But
you guys need to swing by our place, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know. Yeah, we really want to, man. That I harped on it a lot on the first time, and I think we talked about the taxidermy too. But man, you guys got to see the lodge that they got.
Dude, that place
is
the bomb. I'm telling you, if you are a freaking smart person, you could just sit at the lodge honestly and just have fun. I mean, honestly, if somebody said you have to stay at the lodge today, I'd be like, all right. Don't not take away the duck hunt, but it's like a whole nother experience. It's so cool.
And I was gonna say, we have a lot of repeat customers, clients that come back year after year, and so now, I mean, we literally have clients, that are booking 2 years out now, so they can make sure that they get, especially like, the opening of the second split, opening of the first split, to secure the lodge, because we had one group that, they missed the cutoff and they're like, we're not going to do that again. So they're booking for 25, 26 season, just so they can stay at the lodge. So that's another reason why we, of course, had to secure a second lodge. And at some point, I'm sure we'll probably have to get a third. So,
well, I think it really adds to the experience, not having to, because from our experience going with different outfitters and stuff, like when you're in a hotel and you got to lug all your shit up to a hotel room, and it's such a pain in the butt that, I don't know, it's so much more convenient to be staying at a lodge and just be able to get back and crack a beer or whatever,
Yeah,
that's right.
And the camaraderie and meeting other people too. that's the cool thing, man. I mean, no matter where you're hunting, when you get to be at the lodge, you get to meet so many other people and you form some really great relationships. And I'm sure that clients, just like over, with Kade, they'll book, try to be there at the same time. Williamson Outfitters, located along the beautiful coast of Florida, is a premier guide service with lodging that provides incredible coastal duck hunting, gator hunting, fishing, gigging, scalloping, and custom boat tours along Florida's forgotten coast. They are family owned and operated with over 200 years of combined experience hunting and fishing along this incredible stretch of Florida. Captain Chris runs a first-class operation. On a coastal duck hunt, you have an incredible chance at many rare species of diver ducks and several puddle duck species. Have you ever heard of Chase Landry from Swamp People? How'd you like to have him as your guide duck hunting this year? Also featured this month, celebrity chef Amadeus will be there for a meet and greet, and DUTV will be filming an episode, so stay tuned for that. To book an experience you can savor for a lifetime, you can call or text Captain Chris at 850-251-8650, or you can go to floridaducks.com and check available dates for all their services. Don't wait, they book up fast. Time another group is because they got along with some so good, and that kind of thing, so yeah, it's awesome, man. But I think it's a whole nother part of the experience. Chris has got like a museum in this thing, and just some incredible old school stuff, and just the mounts and everything. It's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yeah. And we've actually added more stuff since you guys been there too. So,
oh man,
sweet. All right, maybe we have to stop by.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we definitely want to, and if we can this year, we'll swing by. But man, it's been a crazy year for a lot of different reasons. But anyway, let's get back into some of the exciting stuff you got going on there, Chris. I know one of the cool things is, you know, Chase Landry from Swamp People is guiding with you. Like, how does that even come about? Like,
That's right. Yeah. So that was it was kind of an odd situation. It's almost like it was meant to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, you know, for the folks listening that have watched Swamp People, they're probably more familiar with Chase's dad,
Mm-hmm.
Troy Landry. You know, the guys that shoot 'em, Liz.
Shoot
you know,
them, yeah.
That's right, shoot 'em, Liz. So anyway, Chase somehow found his way over to, you know, where our lodge is located in East Point, Florida. And anyway, he met a girl over here. Of course, they recently got married. And, you know, he befriended one of our guides because Chase himself, he does some commercial fishing over here now. That's what he does for his full-time job. And so anyway, through one of my guides, I was able to, you know, meet him and talk to him for a little bit. And, you know, of course, offered him like, hey, man, you want to do some guided duck hunts for us? And he took the offer. And like I said, it's great. Yeah, he's and how they sound, you know, with that Cajun accent on TV is exactly how they sound here. I mean, it's so heavy that sometimes I have to get them to repeat themselves. Like, bro, I don't understand what you're saying. Yeah, so.
You might trick yourself sometime and think you're in Louisiana, especially. I don't know. Does he do any alligator guiding with you guys?
No, not yet. Not yet. No, right now, like I said, the duck hunting is the first thing he's going to do for us, and then we may parlay that into the Gator season next year. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he's kind of a busy guy. He's got his own stuff he's got to do outside of duck hunting with us too. But yeah. So.
Yeah, no,
what's funny is that when I tell some of the clients, like, hey man, you're gonna be hunting with Chase Landry, like, man, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, no, I'm serious, bro. So,
That's awesome.
That is pretty neat.
But he's a great dude. He's a really great guy. So
that's awesome, man. Well, I mean, good things. Kind of, you know, what's that? I don't know that. I guess the whole saying about, like, you know, positive. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. Like, good things attract other good things. So it makes it makes sense that that would be going on there, because you guys really do run a great operation. And I'm not just saying that because Chris sponsors the podcast. You know, we've seen it, and he does run a good operation. So, and
the thing is, our guys are just such a unique mixture of personalities in a good way. Mm-hmm. And of course, Chase fits right into that mold. And we got one guy. I don't know if you guys met Drew last time you were here, but I mean, he's if you've ever watched Larry the Cable Guy, I'm like, Drew, you missed your calling, bro. You should have been a comedian. That guy will literally have you belling laughing. I mean, he's got some of the craziest stories, but he has that heavy Franklin County accent. It's just hilarious. And again, that's what makes it so fun and unique. We have a lot of our repeat customers, I think, come back for that. They love the guys. They, of course, love the lodge. And I think, you know, duck hunting is also great, but, you know, it's the whole entire experience as a package they enjoy more than anything, you know?
Yeah. And I know kind of from just outside looking in, you know, like how important it is that a guide is kind of like that, you know, that it's kind of one of those things that you wouldn't think that a guide should be like entertaining or like, you know, friendly and hang out with people. It's like you would think it'd just take you to shoot ducks and that's the end of it. But it does add so much to it when you're cutting up in the blind or something like that. And then you got this funny guy down at the end that's, you know, just cutting jokes or whatever. You know, it can, even if it's a bad hunt, you know, that can make it where it's a great hunt, you know?
That's right. And people understand that. And like I said, that's what makes me feel really good about the operation that we run, is because we have a lot of people that, like I said, their repeat clients come back and they ask for specific guys. Like, hey, I want to hunt with Clay again. I want to hunt with Bryce. I want to hunt with Trim. I want to hunt with Drew. I want to hunt with Marcus. And that means that we're doing something right. We're doing it the right way, you know. So
yeah.
Now, in a place like yours, you know, do the guides get a little competitive? You know, like
yeah. So one thing we do, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time, is every morning, of course, we all are in a group text, you know, and that's how we all communicate with each other. Which is also funny because we all have iPhones except for Marcus, and so anytime we share videos, like I know we rack him so much, we're trying to just trying to confiscate his phone, throw it in the water so he can get an iPhone. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
That's Drew for us.
Yeah.
Right. So every morning, so I started something, a couple years back. We call it Money Bird, right? And so if you guys have ever done like a tower hunt, like a pheasant hunt, where they'll tie like a ribbon onto a pheasant's leg, and they call that the Money Bird, and anybody that shoots it, you win a prize or a jackpot, like $300, whatever. Huh. So we do a version of that. And so what I do is in the morning, I'll text the guys and I'll just arbitrarily pick a bird, and I'll say it's Drake or hen. So like this morning I said Drake canvasback, $100 each. So if of course they shot at some, nobody was successful. But if they were to get it, they get $100.
Oh, that's awesome.
A couple of days ago, first redhead, $50, so on and so forth. So that makes it fun and very competitive for the guys or the guides, and they love that. And of course, the banter that goes back and forth behind the scenes that the clients can see is pretty hilarious. So
I bet.
I should write down a lot of the comments. They'll have guys. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. It's pretty funny. So,
I can just see him. I can be even like. I mean, poor Chase over there. If he has a bad day, I can just see one of the guys just being like, "Oh yeah, Chase Landry,"
Oh yeah. Oh no, they treat him like one of their own. So I mean, they don't
sure
cut
they
any
do.
slack. Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh man.
Well, another, back kind of the exciting things you got going on there, so the celebrity chef, how do you say his
Chef
name?
Amadeus?
Amadeus. Kind of like the song.
Yeah.
I'm sure Tony, he knows the song.
Yeah, I know
Amadeus.
the song.
Well,
Amadeus.
Well, you go into all
Amadeus.
that. That's freaking pretty dang cool.
Yeah, so we had Chef Amadeus. So I'll make a long story short. When we had the hurricane, I think it was Idalia that came through Taylor County. Mm-hmm. I was contacted by an organization called Tin Can, and for quick plug, anybody looking to do any type of hurricane relief work or any type of voluntary work, look up Tin Can. I'm not sure exactly what their website is, but they run a great program. It's run by a lot of veterans and military guys.
That's
but
awesome.
Anyway, so they contacted me because they have a network of guides. They get a lot of veterans together and organize hunts and fishing charters, stuff like that. It's almost kind of like the Wounded Warriors program. But anyway, so I got contacted by the president, and so myself and my son and my younger son Bear, we went down to Perry, basically do some volunteer work and help out with some relief efforts after the hurricane.
Okay.
And so the head chef at the camp was Chef Amadeus, and so I saw him. And I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. Like, I've seen him somewhere. And so, of course, I'm like, dude, you're a celebrity chef, right? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, and, but yeah, so Chef Amadeus, he, so for the folks that don't know, he won the Extreme Chef cooking competition on the Food Network. And I want to say it was back in 2010. So,
Wow.
So for the younger listeners, I may not remember that, but anyway, so he won the Extreme Chef competition. He's a great chef. He kind of specializes more on wild game, So anyway, so I hit it off, with him and befriended him. And so I got a text a few weeks ago, and he's like, yo, man, I really want to go shoot a duck. I've never shot a duck before. He's been on some gator hunts and some other things. He's just now getting into hunting himself.
Wow.
He's worked at some other lodges throughout the United States. One big lodge out in Seattle, but he lives in Jacksonville now. But anyway, he texted me, and I was like, come up, this past weekend. It was I think it was the 10th, 11th, and so anyway, so he came up, and so I took him out hunting, and he was successful. He got his first duck with us.
Okay.
And while he was here Saturday night, we had probably 30, 40 people here. He cooked seared duck. It was actually some ducks we got from our trip to South Dakota.
Oh, nice.
So we had seared duck, biscuits and gravy. So we had cat head biscuits, homemade gravy with some dirty rice, mixed vegetables. And then he had, as a dessert, it was the s'mores, but it was in like the waffle cones, like an ice cream cones. and he wrapped them up in tinfoil, put them on charcoal grill. Bro, it was like, oh
What?
my gosh. Yeah, it was amazing. So really cool guy. Like I said, I was very fortunate. And again, it's one of those unique situations where I just happened to run into the guy. And, you know, it's a funny thing when you approach people and you're nice to them, you befriend them. I mean, you know, really good things can come back to you, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, so very unique thing. So I formed a really good relationship with him. And so we're going to have a veterans hunt. So anybody who listens to your podcast as a veteran or active military, February 3rd and 4th, 2024, Williamson Outfitters, we have a military hunt that we provide, that we offer. And so Chef Amadeus is going to come back that weekend because he himself is a vet. He used to be in the Navy.
Nice.
He was a head chef on one of the Navy cruisers. But yeah, so we get, you know, a variety of different vets and active military guys from all over the Southeast. And we take solo hunters, groups, doesn't matter. We basically take them all, divide them up into 3 teams, team red, team white, team blue. And it's a really cool way for all these guys to have, you know, that camaraderie again, like they had when they were in the military. And it's a really cool event. But anyway, so Amadeus is going to be back February 3rd and 4th to cook again at our main lodge.
That's great, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I need to meet him because I'm a Navy guy. So tell him, go MSs. Just tell him that. He'll be like, yeah, bro, is he an MS? And tell him I was an MS for the wardroom division on the Eisenhower aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
He'll know that language immediately. He'll be, it's like, oh yeah, dude, I was an S2, it sucked, and all this stuff. So just to give you everybody some background, when you're on a ship, so you back then, I don't know how it is now, but you had your every division's got like a name, which is usually, you know, like a letter or 2 letters and a number or something like that. And so this was S5. S5 was in charge of taking care of all of the food, all of the staterooms and everything for all of the officers, the captain, the, you know, admiral, all that stuff, right? And then you had the S2 division, which is charged of doing all the food for the main crew. So you're talking about, all right, so you're making food for, say, if you're out to sea, say 500 officers, all right? Or something like that. Actually, probably like closer to 300. But you have up to 500 officer staterooms. You have dignitaries coming in all the time. So you do that. But then the S2 division, they've got to feed like 5,500 people. Right? It's a freaking sweatshop down in there, boy. I'm telling you, if you can do that, then you could probably be a Navy SEAL. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I bet he cut his teeth in some of that. And but I just got lucky and got with the S5 division. So anyway, but yeah, I got to meet this guy for sure. I was just looking him up. I was looking up his Instagram and looking up some of these. As you're talking, I'm looking at some of these pictures he's got of some of these things that he's made, and I'm just like, dude, look at that.
Yeah, and I think he has a website too. And again, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's like chefamadeus.com. I'm sure if you do a quick Google search, like I said, he lives in Jacksonville area. So hit him up. I know he's got his own line of spices that he sells. I'm pretty sure he sells it online. He used those spices when he made the big dinner for us on Saturday night, and it's excellent. I bought some for myself for the lodge. But again, outside of that, he's just a really great guy, down to earth. You know, very, very, very cool guy. So,
well, and Chris, you know, and this is something that we didn't have on the list, but I just can't help but bring up, and you know, and you're not going to bring it up because I know just because you're just a humble dude, but you know, Chris has been awarded as a lifetime sponsor of Ducks Unlimited. And that's a big deal, y'all. And I mean, Tristan and I were over in the DU headquarters, and there's a plaque specifically for folks that are lifetime sponsors. And, you know, Chris Williamson and Williamson Outfitters just became one of those. And Chris, tell some people what that looks like and why you did that.
So again, I mean, you know, for the same reasons that you guys duck hunt, I mean, we're very passionate about it. To us, it's more than, you know, it's no more than just killing birds and the pictures you post on Instagram. It's more than that. I mean, it's a time that, you know, for us duck hunting, especially now with having the outfitter business, being able to meet new people, take youngsters and even older people that have no experience with duck hunting and introduce them to the duck hunting world. And so we want to keep that going as long as possible. Of course, I'm getting, up in age to where, my oldest daughter is 22 and, of course, Bryce is 20. So, I may be having grandkids in the next few years. And so I want, that legacy and that tradition of waterfowl hunting to carry on as long as we can. So Ducks Unlimited is a great organization. Of course, they specialize in wetlands and, obviously conservation. But their big thing is, in wetlands, securing wetlands and properties and, cultivating them to maintain that population in North America for future generations. So I wanted to be a part of that. And so, my really good friend Mario, which, of course, is a mutual friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
I met him at a DU banquet, and he kind of approached me about that and gave me an opportunity. And so, so it's actually not myself, it's Williamson Outfitters as a whole. We are, life sponsors for Ducks Unlimited. And, and it doesn't stop there. I mean, we plan on doing more and more for Ducks Unlimited to the best of our capacity. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Well, yeah, and as you know, with such a powerhouse, a political powerhouse with Ducks Unlimited, there's only so much land in Florida. I mean, I guess you say every state's got a border, but then it turns into water, right? And that's the end of it, right there,
Right.
And if you've lived in Florida or you've been down there, it's in the teens that morning, and maybe you're chasing ducks or geese. But now it's September and it's 85 degrees and you're hunting early teal or geese. As a waterfowler, you need dependable weather protection that will not break the bank. Founded in 1996, Frog Togs is not only the leader in breathable wader technology, but a company you can depend on to keep you warm and dry, head to toe, no matter your hunting environment. Stay bone dry by using discount code ZD315 for 15% off not only your first purchase, like most discount codes, but how about every single purchase you make from now until December 31st, 2024? It's going away so fast, so much land, and it's just working its way towards the coast. It's kind of like, here you got this one, I would say, anywhere from, whatever demographic you want to call it, the lower to the upper class in the center of the state, pushing its boundaries outwards, while you have these super expensive coastal areas that are owned by private folks that, either are getting in a position where they have to sell it because they can't turn a profit on it anymore. Somebody like Ducks Unlimited is it might not even be land that is associated with duck hunting. It might be land that, it might be somewhere that could have been one of the best red fishing spots in the state of Florida that is now going to be turned into a lagoon and a hotel or something. You know what I mean, Chris?
Right,
that's what I'm saying. It's a little bit different for me. I guess it hits a little different because I've lived there, and to me, it's just, where does it stop? And the only way to stop is kind of like you got to have this boundary of property that's owned.
Yeah, and I
That's right.
kind of get what you were saying, Dad. Like, and it's a big deal. Like, we've talked to people like Travis Thompson or other folks that are in the conservation space. Like, having a DU presence, having a Delta presence, having these organizations involved in the state of Florida is really important when it comes to like these meetings that are met on land. To have people that are going to go to bat for the state, is really huge for those big powerhouses, like you said.
Well, and like DU they'll partner with the Cattlemen's Association, other big NWTF, whatever it is, to do that. And so, but yeah, I think that's everything. That's if you don't care about, if you haven't gotten to the point as a hunter of caring about conservation yet, that's okay. Because I kind of look at it like history. When you're a young person, the majority of us just don't value history as much until we start to get older. And, you start to value history a little bit more. You know, I think as a hunter, just through your developmental process as a hunter, you get to that point where, yeah, you really do care a lot about conservation, and you understand the value of it, especially if you went out there and cut your teeth on public land. You know, so it's a great thing. Thank you, Chris, for doing that. And it's just another step in the right direction of what we all need to be supporting, and that's conservation.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, as a duck hunter, as all duck hunters, the longer you do it, the more experience you get under your belt. You slowly evolve from, you know, when you first start out. I want to say Tony Vandemore, he had a quote about this, but, you know, you have different levels to duck hunting. You know, when you start out, you know, it's all about, you know, how many ducks can you kill? And then, you know, then it turns into, you know, how many limits you can shoot, and, you know, so on and so forth. And then it evolves into more about, you want to have that conservation aspect or mindset, to where it's more about, it's not about the killing so much as, again, you know, you want to pass that legacy and that tradition down to future generations. So again, for everybody listening, Ducks Unlimited is a great organization. I know firsthand. You know, so reach out wherever you guys are at. Reach out to your local chapter. I'm sure you can do a quick Google search and find out your local chapter is. And you know, you can donate. I mean, of course, they take all different, donations, and they have different programs and that sort of thing. And see what you can do for your local chapter. It's like I said, it's a great thing. They've been around for, I think it's like 86 years now, or 85 years. So they wouldn't be around as long as they are if they weren't a really good organization. So
no, and from a selfish standpoint, if we did not have them, we'd be in a shitload of trouble. I mean, we really would. And so, and for all you out there, if you know, when you start hearing, there's a percentage of hunters that when you talk to them and you start bringing up, donating and conservation and all that stuff, it's kind of like the first time you went to church and the pastor asked for an offering, right? You know, you're sitting there, you're like, I don't understand everything about church yet, but somebody just asked me for my money to help them do something that I just saw for the first time. You know what I mean? But, you know, as you develop, you know, and I'm speaking just specifically to Christianity, in line with this, is just that, you know, all of a sudden you understand what the mission of the church is and what you're trying to do, and how important it is that you do help. It's the same thing. Is if it doesn't make sense to you, you either haven't gotten to that phase that Chris talked about, and that's okay, or you're just uneducated. Yeah. And once you start to understand the purpose, then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, dude, here, take a whole paycheck. And your wife's like, if you do that, I'm leaving. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
exactly.
Well, Chris, kind of to, switch gears, I know you guys, a big part of your business too is the fishing and alligator stuff, Can you kind of go into some of the opportunities you guys have, in the spring and summer and late summer and stuff for, fish and alligator and all that?
Yeah. So, of course, our duck season, it ends, I think it's January 28th, that last Sunday in January. Then, of course, we have our Veterans Hunt in February, and then the next consecutive weekend we've got our youth hunt. And then so we got a little bit of time where we can kind of catch our breath, relax, and then we kind of start back up like mid-March. Start doing a lot of inshore fishing, of course, targeting redfish, trout, your traditional inshore fish. Once you get towards April, May, that's when a lot of the triple tail, which that's kind of our specialty, they start migrating back north up into our waters, and that's when we start targeting the triple tail. And of course, once the water temperature starts heating up, start getting into summertime, early summer, we get a lot of the bigger females that move up into our area, bigger female triple tail, and I'm talking 15, 20, even 25 pound triple tail. And 10, 8 to 10 foot of water, even less. And so, it would blow your mind the size of some of these triple tail. And again, I get asked a lot, when's the best time to catch triple tail in our area up in the Panhandle? And my answer is always summertime, the hottest part of the year. July is like the prime time. So yeah, if anybody is interested in booking a triple tail fishing trip, now's the time to do it. You can go ahead and book that. And if you have to travel, if you guys are like in the Atlanta market or down South Florida or wherever, we have a lodge here. You guys can stay at the lodge, and it's a great place. Even our local barrier island, St. George Island, which I know you guys are kind of familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
This year they were voted the number one beach by Dr. Beach for the United States, and that they beat out Hawaii, California, all the beaches in Florida. So our beach, which is only 10 minutes from our lodge, number one beach in all of the United States. So again, another reason to come visit us during the summertime.
Wow.
Even the springtime, if you're on spring break, it's a great time. And again, it's not like, this area, again, they call it the Forgotten Coast for a reason. It's still laid back. It's still old Florida. It's not like metro areas like Orlando, Tampa, Miami. It's nothing like that. It's a really cool area. So,
well, I think I have a sales pitch to make to my wife as well in the summer.
No, but let me give everybody a visual real quick, and I'm going off of memory. So, what I remember about this area is that number one, you're going to see a lot of beautiful wilderness. All right. A lot of beautiful wilderness all the way to the coast. That's one thing that's beautiful. There's a lot of national wildlife refuges and stuff like that in this area. It's just a beautiful conservation piece of land, right? And if I remember Chris correctly, I didn't go to any big towns, man. It was just like I was like, dude, where am I getting gas at, bro? Yeah. It was so rural and small town to me. Is that the right vibe?
Oh yeah, exactly. Our we're kind of sandwiched between our two largest towns in this area, which an hour and a half to the east of us is Tallahassee, and of course that's only maybe 300,000 people. The majority of that is college students and government workers. And then you go about 2 hours to the west of us, and of course you got the Panama City, Destin area over there, the Emerald Coast area. Mm-hmm. But in between the two, like I said, it's just kind of a quiet area. Like I said, there's no big cities. You got Carabel, you got, of course, Wacola County, Panacea, Crawfordville, Apalachicola, all these different places they're all unique in their own way. But again, it's kind of historic, especially Apalachicola. And one other thing too is we got St. Vincent Island. That's just to the west of St. George Island. And so for any, hunters out there, other than duck hunters, that's the only place in North America where you can still hunt, or where you can only hunt wild sandbar deer. So sandbar deer, they're.
Do you want coffee that doesn't suck? Get the Duck. Dirty Duck coffee is made specifically for the waterfowl enthusiast. Enjoy flavors like Morning Wood, Dark Dynasty, Cinnamon Teal Snickerdoodle, and First Flight to unlock the flavor that you'll enjoy in the blind for years to come. Our friends at Dirty Duck Coffee Company are now offering all Zero Duck 30 followers a 15% discount when you use code ZeroDuck15 on your next order.
We're imported in from India a long time ago, decades ago, when it was privately owned. There was a guy, and again, I don't know the exact history, but there was a gentleman that owned that property. I want to say like 100 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, so he tried to turn to an exotic hunting preserve, and he had like water buffaloes, all kinds of different things on that island. The only thing that survived were the sandbar deer. They get upwards of 300-400 pounds, size of elk. And the state does a lottery where you can apply for a hunting permit to hunt the sandbar deer. Of course, it's all primitive hunting. So that's another thing too. We got that going on. It's very unique. The only way to get to St. Vincent Island is, of course, by boat. So, that place is literally like walking back in time. It's almost like, Jurassic Park, dude. When you go over there, it's just like wild jungle. It's really neat. So it's pretty cool.
I bet. Yeah. And I'd heard that about the sandbar deer. It's, if I remember right, I think I don't remember how Florida does it. Is it one of those things that like takes,
it's a couple $100.
Yeah. But is it like a preference point thing, or is it?
No, it's a lottery.
It's a lottery, yeah. So you can apply for it, and I think, like I said, it's just a random, pick. and of course they don't have a lot of permits allocated for that. So
and they charge you a price, a price to make it like, if you want to do this, you're going to pay the price for the lottery ticket. And I think that money just goes to conservation, but then you have to pay for that permit also, which I think is also like a couple $100 or something. Is that right?
I think so. Again, I'm not 100% sure on that, but
it's a no-brainer if you got the lottery draw. I mean, you're just like, dude, I'm going.
Yeah. So again, it's a cool place. I mean, we got the greatest oysters in the Southeast, in my opinion. Here, we've got, of course, sandbar deer, which is wild. I mean, you got from India, the size of an elk in Florida, which is unbelievable. And then, of course, got the #1 beach. I mean, what more can you say? And we got scallops. That's also really cool. That's something we do during the summertime, which is also fun. It's like Easter egg hunting, Florida style.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's a lot of fun.
And you mentioned St. Vincent being kind of like Jurassic Park, and the gators y'all get are kind of like out of Jurassic Park too. Like,
I mean,
go into that a little bit.
So we do gator hunts too. So it's kind of the same thing. You throughout the state of Florida, you apply for your gator permit. So 1 permit equals 2 tags. And so each year, I think the state allots 7,500 permits. This last year, there was close to 25 or 30,000 applicants. And of course, they only hand out 7,500 permits. So of course, it's something that's highly sought after. So we as a group, we try to get our own individual permits. We don't get any kind of, special permits just because we're guys or outfitters. So we have to apply just like everybody else. And then of course, when we get tags, if somebody wants to go hunting, we take them out. We use our tags for the gators. But yeah, this past year, I think we harvested close to 40 gators. Wow. Our largest one was 12'1". It was 512 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a monster. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's talks of like if you are allowed to hunt on St. Vincent Island for gators, which you're not, there's definitely state records on that island. Because again, there's parts of it that are just untouched that you can't get to.
Wow.
That you are not allowed to get to. Yeah.
That makes it interesting going to the deer stand in the morning, doesn't it?
yeah, like literally like Jurassic Park. Yeah,
I've heard.
You gotta be careful. So
I've heard that island's like rattlesnake heaven too. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of wildlife over there.
Yeah, dude, that's where Bigfoot's lodge is underneath that.
So
exactly.
I guess if you're a big game hunter and like you think you're real cool for shooting elk on public land out west, it's like kind of the Florida equivalent of that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that's something that we can boast about because you can go anywhere and shoot a whitetail. You got certain areas out west you can shoot mule deer and elk and that sort of thing. There's only one place that you can shoot wild sandbar deer, and that's right here, right in our backyard.
That's
so
true.
Neat.
Yeah, that's wild. I was just sitting there thinking about as we were talking and stuff, and the visual that I want to try to build for y'all, of duck hunting experience down here in coastal waters. I think that, and I'm just speaking from a sportsman's perspective. I went and did the Arkansas timber because I wanted to experience the Arkansas timber. Right? I was like, all right, man, I want to go to what they call the duck capital of the world, and I want to go see what it's like to have ducks fall through the tree branches, while I freeze my ass off,
right?
And race people and sleep never and don't eat and lose weight and just fight with people and cry and everything else. So. And blow a bunch of money and share all of our favorite public land spots. All right, I love. I really about
Vegas or
no. So, but I wanted to go experience all that. It definitely was more than I expected. But here's where I'm going with all this. We cut our teeth in the marshes. We did, and so to us, duck hunting was the marsh, right? And there's this visual and this love for the marsh that we got from, that's where we cut our teeth at, right? Then we go, and I've hunted rice fields, I've hunted dry fields, I've hunted timber, flood timber, all this stuff. But y'all, when you, I just want to talk about this. When you get in the boat, all right, so you meet your guide, right? And I'm just going to walk through a Williamson Outfitter experience. You meet your guide, and you get on a boat ramp, and then, bro, you are on the ocean. Yeah. All right. So I'm going, dude, where in the hell are we going? Dude, all I see is water, bro. I mean, that's all I see is horizon all around me. And distant light, you see some coastal like restaurants or some shit or houses. But this is what's so cool about the experience to me that I want you all to not miss out on. It's not about the diver thing, right? Or whatever it is. It's the experience. And I remember, dude, we're flying in this badass boat with 2 gator tails on the back of it, and with our guide, what was his name?
Donnie, I think.
Donnie. And I was like, this alone is badass. We're just flying around, and I'm like, where are we going to go? And he's like, here's where we're going to set up. And we got all set up and put up these palm fronds and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is nothing that I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, where I'm at right now, I feel like I should be in 100 feet of water, but I'm not. I'm in like ankle deep water. And here come the ducks, and you're like, what in the hell? It's just such a surreal experience. I mean, that's why I want you guys to get out of this podcast is it is such a different, cool experience. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, as far as our clientele, the majority of our clients come from, the Georgia area, especially the North Georgia market and then Central South Florida. We're starting to build a pretty good presence in South Carolina as well. And so like up in, Georgia and South Carolina and up in that area, but the one complaint I get a lot is like, man, I always shoot wood ducks. Some people would die to shoot wood ducks, but that's all they get.
Yeah.
And of course, down South Florida is, hey man, all we're shooting is ringnecks and, tree ducks and stuff. People would die to shoot that. So, I think we get a little jaded in certain parts of the world, it's like with us. Hell, we've shot thousands of redheads. People would, there's some people that die to shoot a drake redhead.
Yeah.
So, if it's something that, you can, at some point in your life afford to do, this is something that personally I try to do with my sons is we want to hunt, one of our goals is of course, not only get all 41, of the waterfowl species, so to speak, but also I want to hunt in each state. I want to hunt all 50 states that I can. Of course, you can't say that about, you can't hunt Hawaii as far as I know, but, hunt in all the states that are, you can legally hunt. And so far we've done, I think maybe 10 states, and dude, it's amazing how you go to these different areas. We've hunted New Mexico, Texas, Washington. We've hunted Seattle up there, Boston, Massachusetts. Literally hunted right there in Boston Harbor where they had, the Boston Tea Party, which is pretty wild. We're shooting common eiders. We're sitting, you can see Logan Airport and planes landing. We're shooting in eiders out of a layout boat. But yeah, we've hunted so many different areas. And I think Florida is also one of those unique experiences, especially in the Panhandle, where you can hunt literally off a beach, and a lot of people, it's just, again, if that's something you can do, I highly recommend and encourage people to try to do that is especially start getting a little jaded in your area and like, hey man, I'm getting started, sick of shooting, these wood ducks or whatever, well, try come hunting with us. Shoot some redheads and go to Arkansas, do a timber hunt, shoot mallards, and or go do, a layout boat hunt up in the Northeast, or go out, out west, California, shoot your cinnamon teal, there's and that's another thing that's so cool, and that's why people get so passionate and addicted to waterfowl hunting. Is that there's so many different environments, so many different types of ducks, and it's a lot of fun, dude. And it's in the day you think you got it figured out, the ducks always win. They always figure, So every once in a while we get lucky, but they still fool us, So
well, Chris, I think you need to put a disclaimer on your website that says if you're hunting buffleheads, bring the cheapest shot shells you got because these some bitches wear iron.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I could tell you a story about that too. Yeah.
Oh tell us.
Well, a few years ago, I want to say it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were hunting over in Wacola County, and anyway, we hunted in the afternoon, and somebody in our group shot a hen bufflehead, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it took after 13 shots, and of course, I don't know what we're shooting at that time. after 13 shots, we were able to cripple it enough to where we could recover the duck, get it in the boat. We tried to, peacefully put it out of his misery. And, she's still kind of doing the head bobble thing. It's like, bro, this thing will not die. So anyway, we got to a point where we thought that we, put her to duck heaven. And so we get back home, and of course we're tired by then, it's the evening time. So we put our ducks in. We got a refrigerator in the garage, put the ducks in there, and we're like, we'll just clean them in the morning. Okay. Now this duck, this hen bufflehead, and I'm not exaggerating, it's been shot at least 13 times. Okay. It's had his neck wrung. Okay. It should be dead by all accounts. Okay. When I wake up, and I'm not kidding you, when I wake up the next morning to go clean the ducks, I open the refrigerator. This hen bufflehead is literally walking around with a broke neck.
No way.
So let me ask you, what would you do in that situation? I literally thought the duck was possessed. This thing's possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
I closed the door on the refrigerator. I'm like, I don't even really know if I want to touch this thing. Right?
Somebody else clean them.
Yeah. Buffleheads are literally, I don't know if they're armor plated. I don't know what it is about them, but they're by far one of the toughest birds that I've ever tried to take. It's unbelievable.
Really, I would call it the lazy man's bird, right? So if you're the type of person, let me just be clear with you. If you think that, man, I just want to go out there and shoot some stupid, idiot, pretty birds. Number one, they are cool as hell looking. They're contrasting colors of that white and then that what's the word I'm looking for? The iridescence of their head.
Yeah,
the iridescence
they got
of
like a
head.
rainbow.
Yeah, it really is like a true rainbow color. These things are beautiful looking ducks, and from a beauty standpoint, they're one of the most beautiful ducks. I would put in the top 5
absolutely.
As far as color.
Absolutely,
and then, but man, are they tough, dude? They're just so tough.
Chris, you'll get a kick out of this. My wife calls them puffins, and I got one. I
heard that on your last book.
Yeah,
podcast.
Yeah, and it was one of the ones I actually got out with you guys that I got mounted. But yeah, I got one mounted at the wall at my house, and that's the favorite duck on the whole wall.
Well, she was over here last night. We got a lake out back, and it's only about 50, 60 acres, but we get these migrant, just random ducks all the time. Like I had 2 ruddy ducks out there the other day, well, anyway, I looked out there last night, and there was 4 Drake buffleheads and 2 hens, and so Tristan and Katie came over last night for my wife's birthday, and I said, "Hey, guess what?" She goes, "What?" I go, "There's 6 buffleheads out back." She goes, "Puffins." She goes, "I love puffins." But hey, you never know, man. But no, it's a fun shoot. When I say from a lazy man's perspective, literally, they're so dumb. It's crazy. And what's nice about it is it seems like it's one of the, and I don't know if this goes the same with some of the other divers. I guess it would by percentage, but it just seemed like to us that, we were out there hunting them all day. Mm-hmm. And our guide's just like, I'm like, dude, there's a lot of boats coming. He's like, that's a good thing. I'm like, what do you mean it's a good thing?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, dude, it's like a really good thing. He goes, we want the boats.
Yeah, like a sunny, nice day.
Yeah. And we're sitting around in this bay where literally in 20 minutes, I could be eating crab legs, on a wharf somewhere, along the ocean and shooting buffleheads, dude. It's so fun.
Yep.
So fun.
Yeah.
Well, kind of going back to what you were talking about with the different experiences and stuff, Chris, that's definitely a passion that me and my dad share with Waterfowl too, is just the different experiences and stuff. But get into that South Dakota trip a little bit, if you don't mind. Isn't that a state that you got to draw to go to, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, you do have to apply for a waterfowl permit. So it's not like, a lot of places, like Florida, Georgia, you just buy it over the counter. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Up there, you have to actually apply for waterfowl permits. So, and so they have like different zones and that sort of thing. So, so anyway, I contacted the guide that was recommended to me. His name's Jaron. I think the name of his outfit is Dakota Snow Outfitters. But anyway, he was a great guide, Jaron Anderson. Anyway, so we went up there opening weekend of pheasant season up in South Dakota, I want to say it was like October 19, 20, somewhere around there, like towards the end of October. So we were going up there to basically do not only a wild pheasant hunt, which we've never done before, but also we we're going to go up there and, for 4 days, do a duck hunt. So when I say I've never seen so many ducks in my entire life, it was unreal, the amount of ducks. And it was tens of thousands of mallards, pintail, widgeon. It was unbelievable. And so, every day or each day, we hunted, layout blinds, like in cut cornfields, millet fields, that sort of thing. And again, I just, there was one field where he literally called, "This is the field of dreams." I got on video. I don't even know if I posted on my Instagram or not, but at one point we sat there for probably 45 minutes and we didn't even shoot. We all sat there in just complete awe and were mesmerized by the amount of birds and just the calling that they're doing between each other, the different species. I mean, they were literally flying so close over our layouts that you could put your hand up, put your barrel up, you could probably touch them.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And again, I know that they've, according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, that the pintail numbers are down, but they weren't down up there. I mean, I've never seen so many pintail. I mean, just tens of thousands of pintail mallards, just unbelievable.
That's awesome.
But yeah, which is a great sign. Again, going back to the whole conservation thing, that we have all of that. I think we're very fortunate where we live that we have. And again, a lot of people, even including myself, regulations can be tough. Different laws can be tough. But I mean, I think they're there for a purpose. They're there to protect what we have as a natural resource. And as much as we want to, shoot as much as we can, especially when we're having really good, birds work us. Again, like I said, for just a while, we put our guns down, and just picked our phones up and video, because we were just completely mesmerized. But anyway, going back to that, we shot limits every day. It was unbelievable. We shot our limit of pheasant. I mean, one of the top 3 hunts I've been on in the United States.
Wow.
It was great. Really enjoyed it.
Wow, yeah, that's saying something. Man,
yeah.
That's cool. It's funny you say that about the pintails too, because our buddy Kade that runs Delta Thunder Outfitters in Arkansas, like, there's so many pintails for some reason, and every year we've been up there, like, just in that northeast Arkansas area, and they're always like, "Man, I don't know what they're talking about." Kind of like you said, it's like, it doesn't seem like the pintails are down, but
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Even Louisiana, I went a couple of years ago over to Kade Lake with Full Strap and Stringer, which is another great outfitter. Anybody that wants to hunt Louisiana, hit up Hunter and Blake and Cheryl over there at Full Strap and Stringer in Kade Lake. But we went there, took my son Bear and his friend Jaden as a birthday present, because of course both their birthdays are right there at the end of January. Anyway, we saw a big raft of birds get up off the lake, and I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, "Bro, what kind of birds are those?" He said, "Bro, that's all pintails. There had been 20,000 birds." Wow. It's like unfreaking believable, which is great. That's great. So yeah, the pintail population, as far as from my perspective, is strong. But again, I'm not a biologist. I don't know, but yeah, like I said, it looks good. So.
They are, to me, one of the most frustrating birds to hunt.
In the outdoors, every detail counts. See sharper, aim clearer. From the river's edge to the heart of the flooded timber, Hook and Bullet has your vision covered. Hook and Bullet's purpose-built optics are flawlessly crafted to give you an edge regardless of your outdoor pursuit. Use code ZeroDuck30 for 15% off a pair of Hook and Bullet sunglasses today.
Because, man, they just, I've got one over there on the wall, and whenever Jared over there at Mallard's Fowl Life, big shout out to him there in Florida, taxidermy. He, I wanted every bird that I got mounted, and I've done this with my deer, is I wanted it to be like I remember that animal, a pose that makes me look at it and go, yeah, I remember that. And the way I've got it up there on the wall is it's tilting like it's going to turn, and it's looking down at you going, I'm not going to turn one more time. I'm not because I'm a pintail. But on the flip side of that, Tristan and I have had a heavenly experience where, we have had pintails that like landed on us almost, because that's just where they wanted to be, of course, but no, they're a strange bird, and it's one of those things that it's a definite trophy on anybody's wall. I think wherever you go. I heard that the West Coast is the pintail capital of the world. Hopefully someday I get to go experience that.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I learned is, do you guys know which state is like the number one state for waterfowl as far as population?
California.
It's California, brother.
Wow.
It's
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, California. It is. Yeah.
Damn, that's nuts.
Dude, it's like,
I mean, it's such a big.
I feel sorry
state,
for the Californians, and this is the only reason why, because outside of that, I hate California. But I do. It's overpopulated. It needs to just break away from the United States and just float away. But, dude, it's like a whole nother. It's like have you seen Stranger Things, Chris, where you have the upside down world?
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, dude. It's like the upside down world of duck hunting. I mean, really, it's like this place that people are starting to explore. That's a totally different world, and you're like, dude, this is just like the other world, but a little bit different. And to me, that's what it's like out there. It's just that, you think all the time when you think West Coast, you're thinking city, mountains, and all this stuff. You don't think about some of these incredible areas that waterfowl is. I mean, is giant on the West Coast.
Yeah. We hunted with. I think this is 4 years ago now. We went over to El Centro, California, which is about 3 hours south of San Diego. It's near the Mexico-United States border. And we're in the mountain chain there. They had reservoirs there. We hired a guide out there named Brett Dickinson. So if you guys, again, name dropping everywhere, but if you guys want a cinnamon teal, that is the man. He's a cinnamon teal guru. His name's Brett Dickinson. Look him up on Facebook. I don't think he has anything else. But anyway, and what was cool about that experience was, you don't set decoys out. We're in these reservoirs, man-made reservoirs, and you're in inflatable kayaks, and you're paddling along, the cattails, rosewood canes, and you have your shotgun sitting in your lap, and all of a sudden you flush out, 6 cinnamon teal. They fly out, and then you got to drop your paddle, pick up your gun, shoot. It takes a few attempts before you get used to doing that, But dude, one of the best, most beautiful plumed out shovelers we ever shot was over there in California. And again, they got canvasbacks, mallards. I mean, they got a wide variety of pintail. It's unbelievable. And again, a lot of people don't think California. Just same thing with Florida. People don't think those areas hold waterfowl, and they do. They really do.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, we moved down to Florida in 2012. You think beach fishing, and that kind of thing from an outdoorsman's perspective, and. I wasn't even a duck hunter at that time. Here I lived on the Mississippi River all my life and never duck hunted just to avoid divorce. And because I was such a big deer hunter that I couldn't take on another sport. I put over 200 hours a year in a deer stand. So, but when I got to Florida and Mario was the first person to ask me to go duck hunting, I kind of cherish it almost in the same regard as the first time one of my buddies asked me to go to church. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where I'm like, dude, the compounding that has happened since that time. I was just looking through my phone the other day, Tristan, and I saw the very first time I took you duck hunting out in public land and off of, we were actually off of Ponte Vedra. And where most people are just like, oh, it's Ponte Vedra, what I mean? But dude, we're sitting there duck hunting and listening to waves crash. It's a wild experience, but no, but it does create such a unique opportunity for waterfowl hunting. I mean, it's just different. It's just different. Yeah. And go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say it's more of a social activity, versus deer hunting. To me, deer hunting, like if you try to equate it to like a sport, deer hunting is more like tennis or something. It's like a solo hunt, solo sport. You're by yourself. Duck hunting is more of like a team sport. You get your best buddies out there, whether it's you and your son or you and like 10 other guys. And it's a great way to have fun, especially for people who's never done it before. Dude, it's like a social event. It's so much fun. You can laugh, you can cut up, and again, we have some guys, like we got a couple of guys that are staying at the lodge from North Carolina. They brought, some of the best bourbon they got, cigars. They don't give a shit about shooting birds. All they care about is just having a good time. They could care less,
Exactly.
But that makes it, like I said, it's a really, really good time just to hang out and socialize and interact with your best friends and your family.
Absolutely, man.
So this wasn't on the list of questions, but I'm going to hit you with this one, Chris.
Yeah.
What is it would not too without spiraling too far down this rabbit hole, but obviously you love what you do. We love what we do. I mean, we love doing this podcast. We love duck hunting. We love, even though Tristan doesn't like hearing me say, when's the video come out? When's the video come out? He loves editing, all that stuff. But from owning and running that, what has that done for you from the birth of when you started to now, and the amount I just know who you are, Chris, and the amount of blessings and faces and smiles and things that you've provided over the years of doing what you do. I mean, what has that done for you as a person?
I would say, we're both men of faith. I'm a Christian myself. I know you guys are. And, even with, Christianity, it's all about service, now with this, it's a paid service, but at the end of the day, we're taking people out that share the same joys and passions that we do. And then, you get those guys, and again, my favorite, clients are the guys that haven't done it, or have never duck hunted before, young kids, that sort of thing. And being able to be a part of their life and help them and teach them and coach them on, the ways of waterfowl hunting, and seeing them shoot their first duck and being a part of that. That to me, that's what it's all about. It's no different than like when you took Tristan out, for his first duck hunt. Like, I'm sure Tristan remembers that, he'll remember that forever, and that's a special thing, just in creating those bonds. So again, it goes deeper than the whole duck hunting aspect, or even, like I said, we do other stuff, fishing, gator hunting and that sort of thing. It's a time of bonding and being together, having a good time and creating great memories. And again, like I said, it's just from the time we started the business back in 2019 till now, the 23-24 season. Last year we ran over 1,000 clients. And every year we get a little bit more. And like I said, we're totally blessed, and we're so thankful that we could be a part of other people's memories. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Isn't that something? So,
yeah, I want to say real quick, that was like beautiful to hear.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It is. But you know what? And here's the thing, man, is that, when I guided, I professionally guided bow hunts in Illinois, and I met so many great people, like Chris and Kade, and people that I work for, run outfits and stuff. And here's the thing that's in line with everybody in that. They are doing it out of selfish love for you having a smile on your face. Mm-hmm. And it really is. It's really based on all that. Like, when I talked to Kade one time, we were driving around the side by side after a duck hunt or whatever. And I said, if this whoops your ass so much, why do you love it so much? He goes, it's the smiles. It's the smiles on the face of my clients. He goes, the more smiles I get, that's my fuel. That's my energy. That's what keeps me going. He goes, it's not always, that, hey, they didn't shoot a bunch of ducks. He goes, I want to know that my clients are having a great time and they're loving this waterfowl experience, whatever that is for them. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that's why I asked you that question, because my inclination was that there is this trend of why, a good outfitter does what
Yeah,
they
and
do.
I'll give you an example. We have a client. He's in the military. He's in the Army. He's stationed up in Georgia, and he hunted with us a couple times last year. And of course, he came back with his stepdad and another couple of buddies of his. And he had two goals. What he still wanted to get off of his list. And one of those was a canvasback, and they were fortunate they got a Drake and a hen canvasback on one of our hunts, which was awesome.
Wow.
But he's still, even after, I think he's hunted with me, maybe 3 or 4 times. He hasn't got his Drake redhead. He shot like hen redheads. He's had some opportunities, but was never able to recover redhead. Anyway, long story short, he came and hunted with me. This was a few days ago, and he had one more opportunity at it, as far as what we had booked for him. And then he had to go back home, and he actually came up by himself, hunted by himself. Went out and struck out again.
Oh,
And I'm like, bro, I'm going to get you that redhead. I'm like, tell your wife you're going to be late. I said, no charge. I'm going to put you in the blind this afternoon. Like, you got to get your redhead. Like, I can't. I wanted him to get his redhead more than he wanted to get his redhead. And so, brother, I put him with some other guys in a blind, and we shot a 13-man limit of redheads.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah.
What a dream hunt.
Yeah, and so not only did he get his redhead, he got some epic video, and that dude, I'm telling you, and again, I didn't charge him for it, but again, I was so happy for that dude just to see him. He was able to check that off his list. He was so stoked, and to me, like that's what it's all about. I love that. It's not about the money part of it. It's about seeing, somebody set a goal. That's what they want to do, and be able to be a part of that and be a conduit for them accomplishing their goals. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing feeling. So
That's awesome.
I can't not say, and Chris, I want to be respectful of your time, but and I can't do it justice, but the short version of a story is that, our buddy, Kade out there, and we got to get you guys together, you and Kade, because Kade loves to come down to Florida to do fishing. We got to get you guys together, no doubt about it. And he tells me, he said, yeah, I had these clients. He goes, they came in and they said, we're going to go on this duck hunt and all this stuff. And long story short, they did. They went out and they had a big giant group of pintails that came in. They flew in. They dropped 6 of them, 6 drakes, dropped them all. And Kade goes, what do y'all think about that? They're like, let's go. And he goes, what do you mean, let's go? And he goes, we got our limit. Let's go. And they're like, he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, it's 10 after 7. He goes, no, man, we got our limit. Let's go. And he goes, are you shitting me? He's like, and Kade goes, under my breath, I'm like, this is the best group I've ever had. He's like, he goes, and dude, because they did, and they started popping beers at 8:30.
I love about the story that he said he took them down the Max Prairie Wings, and they're walking around to like the gun counters, like, yeah, man, up by Jonesboro, we got a limit today.
Yeah, we got a limit today, and these are Carolina boys, I think, if I remember right. But they were all bragging about, yeah, man, we
Georgia, I think,
or Georgia, okay. And they're like, how'd y'all do today? He's like, oh yeah, we limited out, man. We limited out. We limited out. Well, Kade, he goes, I didn't really say anything, but I thought, it's about what the hunt is to them, and he goes, I did tell him, I go, we can shoot, like 5 more ducks a piece, depending on the species or whatever. And he's like, no, man, we're good. And so Kade takes him out the next day, and they say, they go out there, same thing happens. Blah, 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 blah. First volley, they just limit out on pintails. And Kade looks at the guy, and the guy looks at him, and he goes, you know what it's time to do? And he goes, what? He goes, let's go. So he goes, all right, yes, sir. He goes, and they tipped great, and they were awesome customers. I can't wait for them to come back this year. He said, he said, he looked down at him like, are you sure? He was like, yep. And, they got their limits again, but they all went home with 12 pintails, I guess is what they went home with. And they were just as happy as could be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's cool.
Oh man, Chris, this has been a blast. And again, like Tony was saying, we want to be respectful of your time. We know you got a lodge full of guests and stuff. And Man, can you tell everybody, just how they can get in touch with you if they don't know already? Just the different platforms you're on and all that stuff.
Yeah. The best way, in fact, while we've been talking back and forth, my phone has been ringing off the hook. I've been getting text messages. So, so with that being said, one of the best ways to get a hold of me, shoot me a text or give me a call. My phone is always on. Even when I'm asleep, I'll wake up and answer your call. 850-251-8650. Like I said, call me, shoot me a text any time of day, any time of the year. If you got a special request, we'll try to help you out. And then also, of course, we got our website, floridaducks.com. Again, it's floridaducks with an s.com. You can find me on Instagram at capt, CAPT _ Chris _ Williamson or Williamson _ Outfitters on Instagram. And we're trying to get our YouTube channel going too. We got 850 Media Productions. We're working with getting some really cool footage. I think you guys probably seen some of that on our Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah. So he does a great job. That's Kyle Gibbs. Shout out to him. So I think the YouTube channel is like Williamson _ Outfitters. Anyway, if you search it, you'll find it. But again, best way to get a hold of me, call or text me, 850-251-8650.
And don't make the mistake that I did, Chris. I have to publicly apologize. I'm not a social media guru, okay? And I go to pull up your logo to throw up on the TV tonight for the podcast, and I'm like, what do you mean I'm not following Williamson Outfitters? I'm like, I've been following Chris for years. And I'm like, I've been following Chris. So follow both of them is my point.
Yeah.
I apologize, Chris. But I'm just like, dude, I do follow what
I follow the owner, damn it.
I'm like, who changed my phone?
Yeah. So.
Man, but thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate you so much, and man, we love aligning ourselves with people like yourself, and man, just keep up the great work. Awesome.
Yes,
stuff.
sir. Thank you, guys. And I got one last thing to say.
What's that?
Go Knowles.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, let's go.
I was gonna bring that up, but I was like, we're gonna go down a 20 minute like rabbit hole, but I know, man, that's some BS right there. For all my Georgia clients, go Dogs. I hope it's a good game. But again, I'm a big Florida State fan myself. So
we'll get you, and of course, with Chris, with you supporting the podcast again. Thank you. We appreciate that so much. We'll definitely, y'all. If this is our number one podcast, you're gonna hear from Chris a lot more this season, and we'll have Chris on. We'll have Chris on as we progress into the spring, and so y'all can start figuring out, like, hey, I can't go duck hunting anymore. I can't go kill a deer. Now what do I gotta do? I gotta go fishing, bro. And
that's right.
And get into that, and gator hunting, maybe teal and gator things, and redfish and all kinds of stuff. So we'll have Chris back on, and we'll definitely explore some killer opportunities.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris. And we'll have this out tomorrow. That's basically, normally we don't do it where it's like a podcast coming out tomorrow, but it's working out that way this time. So we'll have it post out tomorrow. So
awesome.
All righty, man. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I ought to slow down, standing in the pouring rain.